What you're about to hear is an excerpt from our weekly podcast, which goes live to everybody every single Wednesday, or you can access it right now just by supporting our Patreon, which is patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. Thanks. Hellblade looks pretty good, right? It looks cool. Looks good. We made a video about how cool it looks. We were promised a code. We didn't get one. So what we can talk about is the reviews, because we didn't get a chance to play it ourselves. So I woke up this morning and I checked the review, and one particularly standout review was by your boy Jim Sterling. The reason that stood out is because he gave the game a 1 out of 10 because of a bug. A game-breaking, unplayable bug. And interestingly, at the time of recording, he's now took that video down. He's tweeted, "After hours of arguing and thought, I'm displeased with how I've handled the Hellblade thing. Stand by." But it did happen. He gave the game a 1 out of 10.
He was enjoying it to a point where he said he's giving it a 7/8 maybe at a push.
Yes.
And then because of this one game-breaking bug, which I can assume is not on everyone.
No one else has commented on it.
Very rare from what I've read.
Yeah.
Not many people have found it.
So because of that, it gives it a 1 out of 10. Is that an accurate reflection of how good the game is then? 1 out of 10. Do you think that that's fair?
I mean, it's a bit too impulsive. Do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what we thought. Like he's throwing the teddy out the pram. Oh, I couldn't get to finish my game, so I'm giving it a 1 out of 10. That's how it felt like to us. And with his response, he's not happy with how he dealt with it.
Yeah. It's like on reflection.
Exactly. He's calmed down a bit.
Yeah, he's had time to just like calm down, think it back, and go, a bit too impulsive on that one, wasn't I?
When you see a review like Jim Sterling, he's got over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, loads of people read his website. Yeah. Is it fair for him to just trash on this game because of one little bug where he ended up getting pissed off and threw his head out the pram? Is that fair?
Do you think that the problem here is that he needed to get this review out before the embargo? So rather than wait, like what we're saying would be probably the more logical thing to do. Do you think just so he gets the hits on his website, he has to be in that first wave of people putting out a review? Do you think that maybe that's some of the reason why he's had to fast forward this process and just put the review out there as is? I feel like there's this weird thing with video game critics where there's a kind of a rush to get stuff out.
There's also the Prey review from IGN, Dan Stapleton, where he ran into an incredibly rare game-breaking bug, like 1 in a million chance of happening. So he gave the game a 4 out of 10. I can't finish this game. This bug has corrupted my 32-hour save file. That drew so much attention. Arcane, the developers, responded to this review. They sent him a custom save file so he could carry on his review, and he reevaluated the game once it was fixed, and he bumped the score to like 8 or something. So yeah, like similar to Jim Sterling, on reflection, I should probably reevaluate my opinion of the game.
Recently, Crash Bandicoot, the trilogy, came out. One review wasn't very warm on it. When you look at the review, you find out that the guy reviewing it played half of each one of the 3 games. Is that enough to review a game?
If they playing halfway through a game, you're going to get the argument, your opinion isn't valid because you don't have a complete experience of the game. Whereas, in like a multiplayer game, you don't need that. But with a single player game like Crash, especially when the levels get harder and harder as they progress, but he was already complaining the early levels were too hard. I don't think it's a very good impression to put out there.
Yeah, the second half of the game might be completely different. It might be. Crash Bandicoot might not be the ideal example of it, yeah. But there's the reviewers out there who paid maybe only 3 or 4 hours of the tutorial mode of Horizon Zero Dawn, give their review of the game and put it out there as a review, not a first impression. How can that be a full review when the game's like 25 hours long? I don't think it's fair on a game for reviewers to put out a full review and calling it that, whereas in fact it's just an early impression.
It's very worrying because these people are swaying people's opinions. Do you guys have any reviewers that you actually do watch? Are you follow any, or you guys make your own minds up?
Probably for me, Eurogamer are a big one. They usually go quite in-depth for their reviews. They don't have the numbering system either. They give it the avoid, recommend, or essential badges. Yeah. Reviews do play a big part for me, but I also try and look at stuff like streamers on day one and like gameplay demos and impressions, and I try and combine them all into like one to see, like, get a good impression of a game,
of how you feel about it. I think that's the best way to do it, is never just believe one reviewer and never always think that anyone is right, and never assume that anyone's played the game to the end and that they know what the they're talking about. Because one reviewer can be so biased, you can trash on a game just because they had a bad experience or something.
Yeah, I mean, are you gonna think Hellblade is a 1 out of 10 because Jim Sterling had a bug in his game?
No.
That's very personal to him. If this sounds in any way like anti-Jim Sterling, it's not. I am a fan of Jim Sterling.
I think we all are.
We all are, yeah. He does it on purpose. He plays up to it. He's egotistical. It's a character, I get it. But let's take The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of the highest rated games of all time. And if you meet somebody that's a super fan of this, good luck telling them it's shit. Jim Sterling gave the game a 7 out of 10. He got hate. Can you guys remember that? He was
it was huge.
Did a video
death threats. Exactly. And there's like YouTubers like Worth a Buy who will get absolutely slated in the comment section for some of his videos. And it does get to them. They'll remove their comments. They'll make videos responding to the comments. And it really gets to them.
Opinions are like arseholes, aren't they? Everyone's got one. Someone famous said that. It's true. Right. Everyone's got an arsehole. Everyone's got an opinion. But the thing is, you're never going to agree with everyone. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You don't have to jump down their throat because they think differently towards you. You don't have to be aggressive towards someone because they have an opinion. Allow people their opinion and say, that's cool, I think differently. Don't get so upset. Just calm the fuck down, people.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the power of reviews. There's a famous story about Obsidian and Fallout New Vegas. If you don't know, Obsidian developed Fallout New Vegas. Bethesda made Fallout 3, right? And they said, if you can get a Metacritic score of 85, we will give you big bonus. And in the cold, rigid and unfair business world, they were 84. They were 1 point away. Obsidian had to make some layoffs because of this. They were working on a project for the next gen of consoles, which was cancelled because of one person giving it a bad review.
1 point on the Metacritic ratings.
Exactly. Do you think that this is a little bit harsh on developers? Do you think that it will have any long-term effects on them? Do you think that these companies give a about reviews?
Of course they do. I think so much so to the fact that they might withhold review copies of games, like Bethesda, for instance, especially with the internet these days. YouTube, for example, where people can review games without even playing the full game. People might negatively review it just to get clicks. It might throw a load of negative words out in a review just to get people to click it and to because it's a very competitive market these days with reviews. And that's why in the past, maybe, you might have PC Gaming, you might have these professional magazines who do diligence on a game and like properly review it. So it's kind of a wild west out there for reviews. And I think developers, publishers are scared of allowing people to review their game if they're not so confident in their games. This whole Bethesda no review policy has come about because they don't allow anybody to have review copies of the games before the game's released. They want everybody to experience the game at the same time, just in case everybody shit bombs the reviews and nobody buys the game as a result.
Metacritic, as you guys know, is for the critics. But what about the average Joe, the average gamer? You don't need to have a PhD or to enjoy a game, right? That's what user reviews are for. Admittedly, I don't ever really pay attention to them, mostly because the games I like always get bad ones, which is kind of what's that saying about me, huh? There's also this little thing called Steam reviews, and these reviews are quite important, and we've seen and we've reported on a shitload of news that's involving people turning the game around for themselves with these reviews. What I mean is Paradox Interactive. Remember those guys? Mm-hmm. What did they do? Put their prices up. How did people react? They fucking bombed the shit out of them.
Review bombed, yeah.
And what happened? 1 day later, they turned it round.
They got a response from the developers and they changed the pricing structure.
Yeah. Do you think giving people that much power is good?
Like, giving power to a consumer is always better. Giving them the forum to voice their opinion and get their voice out there, that's great. But at the same time, Steam reviews are pretty useless sometimes. A lot of them are like just people making jokes or
trying to get likes so they can get the most featured review.
It's a very good tool to have. Sadly, it's being misused.
Sometimes you'll see games getting review bombed for stuff that's nothing even to do with the game. Rime got bombed when the guy came out as an SJW or whatever. Recently, The Long Dark, the developer was victim to a bit of a review bomb recently because of an announcement. GTA, as you guys know, the mod thing happened recently, Open 4, and the game was getting fucking nailed for it. It's nothing to do with the game, is it? Well, you know, like the game as a product. So that's the only problem with these things. That's why I don't really pay much attention to these user reviews, because a lot of the time it can be down to little things like that, like is the developer an SJW? Has someone upset you on Twitter over the past week?
It is the same thing as proper reviews, like Jim Sterling. He got pissed off by one little thing and review bombed it, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly the same thing. So it's not just user reviews, and it's actual reviews as well. And this is why it's so important to actually read the details of the review. Don't just look at the score, look at why people are upset.
Yeah, exactly. Why not let us know in the comments if there's any review you've seen that you think is complete bias bullshit, or maybe you know a reviewer that you can recommend to us that is on your wavelength. Let us know if you've got a favourite reviewer. I'm going to predict there's a lot of people out there that are gunning for someone like ACG or Jim Stillen, but maybe there's someone a little bit more underground, someone that you want to recommend. Why not? I'm open for having a little look. I'm sure you guys are open for having a look. So, get involved. Let us know in the comments. The video you just heard was an excerpt from our weekly podcast. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Why not subscribe if you're new around here? And be sure to check out our Patreon, which is patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. Thank you.